she is the architect of Art Sparks Initiative, which is like an arts incubator. She was very successful in creating one of these in Fort Lauderdale called Art Serve, and now she's in Las Vegas to try to create one there. Now, her interesting turn of events is that she saw in my CARES Act table that there would be possibly an opportunity to get COVID-19 supplemental community development block grants that go through cities and states to be able to be eligible for the next phase of things. We need to retrain a lot of people who have lost their jobs into a new form of employment, how to get new employment. And Kendall was right on it, so I thought it was important for her to share her story of a different part of the CARES Act. Kendall, can you come on your video and share your story? You'll have to start your video.
Well,
there you go.
You were my impetus. But as you know, we had one doozy of a creative workforce meltdown here in Las Vegas and Southern Nevada. And our nonprofit, commercial, and independent sector are really intertwined. We have a lot of crossover, as you can imagine. And this all started when Cirque du Soleil laid off several thousand people without severance pay. And then there was like a tsunami ripple effect where within a few days, the entire Las Vegas Strip and Southern Nevada closed down. We went dark, and there was a paralyzing shockwave. It was if the whole heartbeat of our industry just went black. And at first, we were all petrified, and then there was this frenzy of, what in the world are we going to do? With everybody fighting on his or her own self. And so on April Fool's Day, I don't know what possessed me, but I sat down and I just penned in one sitting a kind of a proposal, as if we were given carte blanche to make a quantum leap and to act forward and to get out of this black hole in terms of a model program. And when I saw Nina's thing about CBDG grants, and there were 5 billion, I think, and I was thinking, oh, we could ask for 5 million out of this program. I mean, which shows nobody ever shoots you for asking too much money. But basically, we started with the proposal, and I was old enough and wise enough to know that I could not go into the bureaucratic den without a white knight. So I looked around, and Jerry Nadal was someone who was a former executive with Cirque du Soleil and is now our interim CEO with KNPR, which is our public radio station. And he's a native New Yorker. I could not have picked a better person. He understands the nonprofit community and had a profound knowledge of the commercial industry and the entertainment industry on the Strip. Plus, he had a stellar reputation. He was a person that's hard to say no to. So I basically emailed the proposal to Jerry, and we followed up on the phone when I pitched him like a movie, and he suddenly said, I get it, I like it, I'm in. And we put our heads together, and we decided that KNPR could be the 501c3 fiscal agent for a CDBG grant with the county, which took in more than the Strip, but the whole section really of Southern Nevada, which is where our commercial industry and nonprofit industry exists. The real question is, how would we do it? And I suggested a couple things, and I said, we can go to Commissioner A, and he said, how about Commissioner B? And we said, let's do them both. Let's get them to co-sponsor this and work from the top down. So basically, we did this with 2 Zoom meetings, okay? The 4 of us got on the phone. I had sent ahead the proposal, and they really loved the arts. In fact, they lectured me, you don't have to tell us how important this is. Just give us the meat, and we'll go ahead. But I could tell that once we got to the aides and the bureaucracy, they were really trying to figure out how you could take this program in HUD and take a round ball of the arts and stick it into a square peg. I didn't call it pushback exactly, but they did allow us to submit a budget and what I call a profile of the clients, which is harder to do. So we put this together, it really became our case. And then on May Day, remember we started this on April Fool's Day, on May Day, which is Day of Revolution and Rebirth, we had a 5-minute meeting. And basically, they loved the program, but they confessed that every penny of the first wave of COVID CBDG grant money had been spent. However, they would fund us with the very next round of CBDG or stimulus funding. So we're in, but we're just kind of watching for the next checks to arrive. Now the project has 3 components, and without going deeply into them, if I had to use one word for each, I would say 1, information, 2, training, 3, work. Everyone needed powerful information from the start. So with this new portal, we would provide a central nexus to capture and link and add resources for everyone in our cultural creative industry. 2, we would offer free ongoing technical assistance online through webinars, mentoring, volunteer legal and financial assistance, you name it. We would really try to respond to the needs in the community. And ultimately, our plan was to grow this into a real physical incubator, which would be ongoing. And we called it the Beehive Innovation Center, and we have a space for it already. And that is with Switches, which is one of our big industries here, and that does e-storage, with their Innovation Center, that stands for Nevada, which is super high tech. So this is very, very exciting. But the third and the most important thing is to put people immediately back to work. And we have a very small team to do the Art Spark project. But we would like to, and that work, the heavy lifting of identifying relief funds, corporate foundation funds, foundation initiatives, commissions, partnerships, we will do that. But we also want to have an interactive part of that portal where we can have a call to the community. What businesses need murals? Who needs carpentry services? Does anybody need costume design, who's planning a new season? Whatever, mix and match. And we would also have a chance, a job board for artists to say, I can do this, we'll work for food, and come up with all these creative options. But the thing that we liked the most about it was Jerry's and my idea to go to 4 of our major foundations and get really matching money using the CDBG grant as an anchor so that we could create a real public-private initiative and form what we called kind of Artists at Work, which is kind of a WPA, work progress back in the 30s concept of inviting artists to do their own RFPs for commissions and projects, individuals and cultural organizations that address the burning issues of our time, like climate change, social justice, racial bias, and on and on and on. So that we would not just give money away, but we would actually have artists vying for real WPA projects. Lastly, we want to establish a seat at the table with the Business Economic Diversification Plan. It's called RISE. For too long, here in Las Vegas, the arts and culture was hidden or really couched under tourism with a big T and entertainment with a big E. And now that they're talking about sports and medical tourism, we want cultural tourism to be on the table as well. And the RISE program is looking for bold, persistent experimentation, and we intend to get it to them. So we will be looking for ways to engage with our own LVCVA, that's our Las Vegas Convention and Visitor Authority, for serious support as the creative sector rebounds. It's said that we are the hardest hit and the slowest to recover. We're ground zero for the disaster. But out of it, we think ArtSpark will reignite and reimagine the arts here in the whole of Southern Nevada.
Kendall, that was a great story, because what I loved about this and what I wanted to share with all our listeners today is so much of what we've talked about early on was survival. And then we were talking about how to make it work in this environment. And your plan is about taking it to the future in the building blocks and using stimulus funds. And it's just providing a nice arc of where we're going and providing others a vehicle to see, to think big. There are plenty of opportunities that don't have the word arts in it, but have a lot of millions of dollars of funding that can help the arts, like community development block grants and other kinds of economic stimulus funds. Hopefully those funds are coming from the federal government. Those are the kinds of pieces of legislation that are going to be coming up next. And they're going to be moving on to these kinds of stimulus ideas. So thank you for sharing your project description.